Welcome to Unit 1, Lesson 1. So for this lesson, we are going to solve linear equations with one variable. Okay, so let's start off with something basic. So when we're trying to solve for a variable, our variable here is t, we need to undo the process that's already there. So the first thing I have to do, it's like order of operations backwards. I need to subtract 5 from both sides of my equation, so both sides of my equal sign. Bring down what you have left, so negative 2t equals negative 9 minus 5 is negative 14. Now we divide by negative 2, and t equals 7. To know if we get a solving problem right, we can always take our variable and plug it back into our equation. So I can take 7 and plug it into t to check. So negative 2 times 7 plus 5. I need to make sure that equals 9. Negative 9, I'm sorry. So negative 9 does equal negative 9. So I know my answer is correct. I forgot my negative on the 9 there at the beginning. Okay. We're doing the same thing here. We're just going to add in distributive property. Okay, so first thing I have to do is get rid of these parentheses. And to do that, I have to distribute the negative 2. And when we distribute, we are multiplying. So negative 2 times b is negative 2b. Negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8. So be careful with your signs there. Equals 12. And then I'm solving like I did on the last problem. So first, the inverse of addition is subtraction. So I have to subtract 8 from both sides. 12 minus 8 is 4. And then to negative 2 times b, the inverse would be division, so divide by negative 2. And b equals negative 2. If I want to check to see if that's right, I plug it back in. I see that negative 2 times negative 6 does equal 12. When you're doing your check, sometimes you don't even have to show that work. You can just type it directly in your calculator. Make sure to include parentheses there if there are parentheses. Okay, we're going to look at one more. This time I have fractions, so things get a little bit more complicated when we have fractions. Really what I could suggest is that you would maybe type this in your calculator. So what you see is that we have like terms. So I can combine this 2/3 x and this negative 5/8 x. So those are like terms. So I can combine those. So that means you just combine them together with whatever sign is there. So I'm going to subtract. So I'm not trying to do the opposite there. I'm just going to subtract. So if you were to type this in your calculator, let's see. You type it in and you get a long decimal that ends up repeating with 6's at the end. We need to make sure that we keep these as exact. So change your decimal. If you get a decimal, change it back to a fraction. So when you do 2/3 x minus 5/8 x, you should get 1 over 24x. Okay. So then what you can do is just divide by 1 over 24. Dividing by a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So you could also multiply both sides by 24 if you wanted. So you could do this if you choose to. Okay, make sure when you do 26 divided by 1 over 24, put that 1 over 24 in parentheses so your calculator recognizes it as a fraction. So those cancel, and you get 624. If I want to check, so I'm going to type this whole left side in together in the calculator. And I do get 26. You're just less likely to make mistakes if you try to if you do all of this in just one step in your calculator. Okay, now you're ready to work on Unit 1, Assignment 1.